please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. Well, back home on Dalal Street after a dismal end to the Feb series, the market ended the week on Friday with a clean slate, and the Nifty and the Sensex surged around 1% each, and the Nifty closed just shy of the 10,500 mark. The Sensex also reclaimed that 34,000 mark. Mid-caps outperformed, gaining more than 1.5%. The Nifty Bank to reclaim 25,000, aided by around a 350 points rally. Nigel, well, I wasn't in, but it seems like there were some fireworks. And what is today looking like?
Well, it looked very good actually, Ekta, on Friday's trading session. The bulls, after a while, they felt that they were on top, and they will be rewarded this morning because as the SGX Nifty is suggesting that we're likely to open up well in the green. The Dow, that put on some good green in Friday's trading session. The SGX Nifty is indicating some follow through. I'll tell you what, the bears will be thinking, well, we're going to start off in the green, so that will be a perfect shorting opportunity. That's what the bears will be thinking, but at least the bulls, they'll be happy they're getting some follow through. And just pull up the Kospi, just see what's happened this morning. It opened up well in the green. It's come off a tad bit from the high point of the day, so that's what's going to cause some kind of edgy nets. But on Friday's trading session, we are coming off a very weak series, and precisely what's happened, what history suggested. In the past, when we have a weak series, the first day of the new series is normally good. So that's one data point, in fact, that we were highlighting all through Friday's trading session. Last week, in fact, IT made a comeback. A lot of these tech minders of the world, the TCS of the world, they did quite well. They were relative outperformers in a market when, in fact, otherwise the Nifty was more or less flattish. And from the broader markets, a lot of opportunities coming in there. Fortis, that one bounced back. IDBI Banks reports that, in fact, that could be some kind of a stake sale. And Mindtree as well, that moved very, very well. Now, in Friday's trading session, why did we see such a big rally? Because the institutions, they were net buyers. That is, the FIs, they continue to sell. They sold roughly around 500 crores or thereabouts. But the DIIs, they brought in the money. They pumped in more than 1,500 crores. The FIs, remember, they've been sellers for nearly around 14 trading sessions. The good part this time around was, since we're trying to look at positives, this sub 500 crore figure is the second lowest that we have seen in the last 14 trading sessions. So the DII buying really totally outweighed what the FIs were selling. On the index, though, they continue to add shorts. So in Friday's trading session, they added more than 8,000 contracts. And now we have more shorts than longs. So 53% of their positions are on the short side on the index futures in comparison to the longs. That as well should come up for you. They were buying calls and puts, mind you, in Friday's trading session. It's the first day of new series, but they bought more calls than puts, in fact. And overall, they bought close to around 3 puts for every 2 calls that they bought. On the option space, they wrote more puts than calls. Now, that's giving you a sense that the FIs, they don't expect this market really to crash to around that 10,000 odd level. So what are the levels then we're looking at? The recent low of around 10,276, that's being protected on the downside. In Friday's trading session, they protected the 100 DMA. So the next level of resistance comes in at around the 50 DMA. That's around 10,605. So we'll keep an eye out on that front. SGX Nifty suggesting a 50-point bump up.
Okay, and stocks?
Well, we'll keep an eye out on the favorites. So for the last, few weeks that we have been tracking, the PNBs of the world will be on our radar. We'll have the jewelry stocks as well that we'll be looking at very, very closely. And even something like a Fortis, we have to keep an eye out on these stocks on a day-to-day basis. But besides that, we'll be looking out at Dr. Reddy's. Ekta will throw more color on that one. But in fact, we have got an EIR, so we'll keep an eye out on that stock for their Srikakulam facility. Reliance Power, well, the board will be meeting with regard to a QIP, so keep an eye out on that stock. A to Z Infra, remember the stock was, it bounced off its lows, now it was returning back to the 52-week lows, but there is a restructuring one-time package that's come about, so that should be pretty good news for them. A couple of rating upgrades, Bulgaria Industries, watch out for that stock, we have a rating upgrade coming in there. And AU Small Finance as well, that's the other one you could keep an eye out on. Both those two stocks, in fact, they've got a rating upgrade. Atlas Cycles, well, in the past, we have seen that it's been reporting losses. This time around, the revenues are more or less flattish, but operationally, the numbers appeared a tad bit better, so you could keep an eye out on that stock. And finally, Magma FinCorp, well, they're seeking approval with regard to issuance of some debt security, so maybe, in fact, you'll keep an eye out on that one as well. Like, that's going to be a busy week. We have a shortened week, so that's good news. And I think we have the GDP numbers as well later this week.
Yes, absolutely. We do have the GDP numbers coming out.
When Sun Pharma was the stock in focus in Friday's trading session, as its Halol plant got 3 observations from the US FDA in a re-inspection. Ekta, break it down for us. What does this mean? Well, the stock is trading at around 20-21 times its forward earnings, so it's not very, very cheap. But this was a big trigger, right, going ahead?
Yes, absolutely. Well, you know, the halal inspection, I just want to put it into perspective that we actually broke the news about the dates a long time back in Jan, I think. So that actually culminated, and the Sun Pharma inspection of the halal facility ended on Friday, and the management did disclose to the exchanges that they have been given 3 observations. Now, everybody, all the brokerages, nobody has basically what these observations are. So everybody is waiting for the nature of these observations to come out, how serious they are, how mild they are. But you know, the street and the industry is rife with kind of news about what these observations look like. So as of now, I expect the stock to probably be in the green, simply because the number of observations are less. And there are, you know, industry rumors doing the rounds that a large part of it should probably be something to do with compliance. Should be something that should be easily remediated by the management. And that's the reason why you saw the stock end at the high point of the day. So that would be something that would continue to be in focus. But still you have the 483 in your hand, or the observations in your hand. You will still not know the exact nature of the observations. And I just want to put it into perspective that while we, even after we get the 483, is it a done deal? And by when will the inspection probably be closed, or when will we know a status? That is something to watch out for, because there are examples by the US FDA inspections on certain plants where the observations have been mild, but the warning letter has not been lifted for a long period of time. And there are times where the observations have been, you know, 0 or mild or whatever it is, and the warning letter or the import alert has been lifted right away, or maybe in a short span of time. So there is some uncertainty, but the street is positive on it.
Okay, all right. So we'll keep an eye out on that stock. But Dr. Reddy's, that's going to be the other pharma stock in focus. Now, the company has got an EIR from the US FDA for its Srikakulam plant. Ekta, tell us about this one.
Well, the stock itself is down around 10% on a year-to-date basis. And this news was actually out by some brokerage reports last week itself. So we already know this news, but it's an official confirmation by the company that they've got an EIR for the Srikakulam API plant. But an EIR does not mean it's good news. An EIR basically means that this is a closure report or a status report on the closure of a particular inspection. The official action indicated status for the Srikakulam API plant basically means that there is some remediation work, or they are still in talks with the US FDA, and the warning letter that they had since 2015 on the facility is still outstanding, and they probably need a reinspection from the US FDA. That's the technical meaning of it. You need a reinspection when it comes to an OAI status. So that is something that it might weigh on the stock, because we have Copaxone, which is Copaxone generic, which is filed from this facility, but they're probably you know, undertaking some site transfers in order to, you know, mitigate the risk. But we caught up with, in fact, Satish Reddy, and asked him about where the Indian pharma industry is headed in terms of the US generic pricing pressure. So that's another key issue which a lot of companies are facing. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
So I think it's a part of you know, things settling down somewhat, you know, at this point of time, because if you see the kind of pressures that have led to this situation, it's been a variety of things. I mean, some of these things have happened the first time, because in the past you would actually see industry consolidating. For the first time over the last 2-3 years, you've seen the customers consolidate, and that's had its own effects. You know, because almost, if you see, about 90% is of the purchasing is done by 3 large purchasing groups. You know, so you can kind of imagine the pricing pressure that puts on manufacturers, and that's what played out. That's number one. The second part is obviously the number of approvals. I believe last year was almost about 1,027 generic approvals which were given by the FDA. So it also has its effect on, you know, number of people competing in the market, and also pulling the price down, because that's the way to enter the market once they come in late. So if you see the net effect of all this, it's led to severe pricing pressures for most of the companies, and it's in most of the cases it's been almost double digits, including the large companies. That's what we have seen. So is that completely settled? I don't think so. So it's still going on even as we speak. But obviously it will bottom out at some point of time. We'll be quite sure of that.
All right.
Well, no more news from the pharmaceutical space. I had the opportunity to catch up with Mr. or Dr. Ishwara Reddy, the newly appointed head of the DCGI, and started by asking him about the priorities expected in the next 1 year and the compliance of Indian drug manufacturers as well. Let's listen into that.
So the major priority is how we can do ease of doing business in our system. That is one of the most priority, thereby how we can promote Make in India, and also how we can promote drug discovery in India. In that process, we are going for how best we can use IT-enabled services in India. So in that connection, we are going to take a support from the CDAC organization, which is under the Ministry of IT. We are going to come up with the IT platforms where complete regulatory mechanism, the transparency mechanism, and also we are in the process of come up with the new regulations on the clinical trials.
When we're talking about drug authority as well, we're talking about the compliance of Indian drug manufacturers on Indian sites. Can we expect maybe some more strengthening of that procedure of compliance under your governance?
Sure. I think to ensure the compliance to our GMP standard and other requirements, we are already started risk-based inspections. The companies which are manufacturing the pharmaceuticals at reasonable any risk. So we have identified some companies, till now 184 companies we have already inspected. And wherever company have violated any norms under the Drugs and Cosmetic Act and rules, we are, in some cases we already taken some actions. With some other companies we are in the process of taking the actions.
All right, then shifting focus away from the pharma space. Now the government has actively stepped up in taking stock of the alleged 11,000 crore rupee fraud at PNB, that's Punjab National Bank. The Corporate Affairs Ministry has moved NCLT to freeze and attach all movable as well as immovable assets of Nirav Modi as well as Mehul Choksi. Also, the Finance Ministry has written to 4 banks, that's SBI, Axis, Bank of India as well as Allahabad Bank, asking them to check for irregularities at their overseas branches in Hong Kong. Remember, the letters of undertaking illegally issued to Nirav Modi was submitted to branches in Hong Kong. We also learned that the Enforcement Directorate has frozen accounts worth 30 crore rupees belonging to Nirav Modi. Shares close to around half of that value have also been frozen. Now, acting on a tip-off, the ED has also seized over 170 steel cupboards and plastic boxes containing various imported watches as well. The ED is also likely to begin seizing properties belonging to both Nirav Modi as well as Mehul Choksi. While these fresh details emerge, employees of Gitanjali Gems are protesting outside the Mumbai office. This follows similar protest by the employees in Hyderabad who have been demanding some kind of alternate jobs.